The second very, very major achievement of ACT UP Seattle had to do with getting the Bailey-Boushay House constructed. Bailey-Boushay was a project, the major project of an organization called AIDS Housing of Washington. My lover, who later died of AIDS, Michael Myers, was on the board of AIDS Housing of Washington after he was diagnosed. He got very active in a number of AIDS-related organizations. And the project of actually building Bailey-Boushay was being opposed by some local developers in the Madison Valley, particularly this guy, Cal Knutson. And they thought that it would be bad for their property values and their ideas of how they wanted to develop the valley. In order to proceed, we had to somehow try to counter what Cal was doing. He had filed zoning objections with the city, and there was a process before the zoning hearing examiner, which even if he had lost, he could have then gone into court. It could have been years delay. Meanwhile, people were getting sick. Bailey-Boushay had this very imaginative and innovative program to establish, as they did, a day health center. Not only was it to be a kind of hospice situation for people who were ill, but people who were ill and living at home but needed care during the day. Maybe their caregiver, a lover, or a relative had to go to work and they couldn't be left alone. This whole day care activity was really innovative. So a delay of several years would have really led to rapid health deterioration of many people who could have been assisted and things of that nature. At any rate, we were trying to figure out how to handle this situation, and someone uncovered the fact that Cal Knutson was president of the board of the Seattle Art Museum. So I suggested that in order to bring attention to what Knutson was doing and its negative effect on people living with this horrible disease, that we hold a demonstration at the Art Museum at its next big opening, big gala. Well, no one had ever, and this was when the museum was in Volunteer Park, it didn't have the downtown facility. No one had ever done a demonstration at the Seattle Art Museum, so it was considered very outrageous and very high profile. And lo and behold, as the plans were proceeding, at an ACT UP meeting appears Scott Charles, who was the development director of the museum, and Barry Bianchi, who at that time was head of the board of the Northwest AIDS Foundation. Both of them subsequently have passed from AIDS, and they were both good guys. And they came to ACT UP to plead with us not to hold this demonstration. Okay. And Scott, he's a development director, and I do fundraising for certain organizations. I know exactly that mindset. Oh, he was trying to explain to us how the people at the museum were so supportive, and they were, and how this would be so horrible, and we said, yes, yes. At any rate, that meeting was unbelievable because some of the guys in ACT UP who were sick just attacked Scott and Barry, chewed them up and spit them out. It was like the most incredible kind of live theater, just right in front of your eyes it was going on. And we went ahead with the idea for the demonstration. I think it was supposed to be, I can't remember what night of the week it was. At any rate, 2 days before the opening and the date of the demonstration, we find out that Cal Knutson has withdrawn his zoning objection. In other words, we had won. And at the opening in Volunteer Park, Thatcher Bailey, one of the people for whom the house is named, Bailey-Boushay House. Boushay is for Frank Boucher, who was his lover who had died of AIDS. Thatcher Bailey and ACT UP were in the park, sitting around the museum, drinking champagne that Thatcher had brought while people went into the opening. And the story later on came out is it apocryphal? Is it true that Cal Knutsen's wife said to him at one point, "Cal, this will be so embarrassing. How will we ever face our friends again?" In other words, the whole idea of applying this kind of pressure, I mean, we had no idea whether it would work or how it would work, but it did work for exactly those reasons. It was embarrassing for him to be have this demonstration targeting what he was trying to do, to raise money at the expense of people who were dealing with this horrible disease and so on. It was a very, very sweet victory. And at the subsequent groundbreaking for Bailey-Boushay House, most of us who were involved in ACT UP were there, and we were in tears, and it was like so unbelievable that ground was finally being broken for this facility, and so unbelievable that we had played a role in having this event occur. I don't say that to sound immodest, I say that to try to express the feelings that we had at that day, and that everyone there understood that the groundbreaking would not have taken place for years had Cal not given up this appeal. So that was an amazing kind of feel.